Okay, so today we're talking about it's humans who have emotions. Emotions are human experiences. Okay, there's nothing wrong with emotions. Emotions are part of being who we are, human. Emotions are the brain's and body's rapid response system. They evolved to help humans survive by preparing us to react to opportunities and threats. So emotions are very important parts of who we are, right? An emotion is a coordinated experience involving your brain's interpretation of an experience or situation. Physical changes in your body will appear when you have certain emotions, right? Um, your thoughts as well, and your subconscious thoughts and memories will also play a role when it comes to emotions. Your facial expression also is also affected by your emotions that you're currently experiencing. And then your urges to react is what happens next, because every emotion will trigger a feeling which is then will trigger an action. Now we have emotions like fear and joy and others in between, right? Like love, peace, and stuff like that. Calmness is also emotional state as well, right? Now, brain detects danger when you're in fear. Your heart rate will then increase. Your muscles will tense up. Your attention narrows as well, right? Your attention narrows because now you are fearful. You under attack. That's the emotion that you're experiencing. You prepare to run or defend yourself. The flight, freeze, or fight mode. Your nervous system's involved with your emotions. Now, joy, dopamine, and other reward related systems activate, like your body will then relax. You will smile because now you're feeling safe. You will smile. You will calm down, right? Let's continue. You become more socially creative as well when you're feeling safe. Your emotions are not good or bad, they are information. Your emotions are neither good or bad, they're just information how you should respond to the inner environments within you or the outside world, the external environment. What activates emotions? Emotions can be activated by internal events as well as external events. An external event, someone criticizes you, calls you a loser, or hey, you, why you dressed like that, or calls you some other stupid name. People are very horrible out there, okay? You receive good news, maybe. It also triggers an emotion. A loud noise can make you afraid, especially if you were not expecting it. You were focused on something, and then somebody comes and taps you at the back, and you go jump. You understand? Because you were so focused on a certain thing. That's also emotional, because it also connects to a feeling as well. Surprise, right? Let's continue. So also the internal memories now, or rather internal experiences of your emotions, your memories, your thoughts, your expectations. And I said a lot about expectations in the first time that I tried to make this live. It's my second uh, try, okay? Because I had an error when I was trying to save my previous recording. Now, expectations can be a problem in relationships because you expecting something from this person. This person has nothing to do with your expectations. You have not even spoken to the person or even discussed your expectations. You're in a relationship, you're newly married or you're newly dating, and you're expecting this person to wash all the dishes every day. You're expecting the person to make the bed every day. You're both sleeping in the bed together. But because you're a man, you think that somehow she's a female. You've really put her in roles because in your home where you brought up, that's how it was. That's how it played out. That's how it manifested in your home. Your mom always did all the housework. Your sisters do the housework. So you think that your expectations are now that your partner will be the domestic one in the house while you sit and relax because you observe this in your home. You haven't discussed it with your partner. You haven't spoken about your expectations. That's where most relationships fail. That's why there's so many divorces because expectations are not discussed and they're not being met. And then we get angry and we say, it's over. I'm expecting you to cuddle every night. I'm expecting you to have intimacy and sexual activity every night, but you are not. That's your duty. You are female. You cannot say no. You hear these things, even watch the movies, it plays out. It's a human condition. Expectations are very dangerous because expectations are not you on the same page with that person. Expectation is not about that other person, it's about you. You have not expressed your expectations. And then you're wondering, why am I so angry? I'm not happy in this relationship because you're expecting something you haven't discussed with that person. You haven't laid down your expectations about the relationship with that person. You're just expecting it, and then when it's not being met, then you're getting angry. You a woman and you expect your man to pay all the bills, right? To do everything financially. You are working, you're earning money too, he's earning, but you're not willing to share the cost of living. You want him to take care of everything because your expectations come from your own worldview, not his, and you haven't discussed this with him. So when he now stops doing all these things that you're expecting, he stops paying and he says you want 50-50. Then you start saying, oh my God, you're not a real man, I need a real man, and all those things. That's coming from expectations. Expectations are a problem when it comes to relationships. If you don't lay down your expectation and say, sweetie pie, I come from a home where a man paid all the bills. I come from a home where a man took care of everything in the house financially, and this is what I'm expecting. And you haven't said it to your partner. And when you're in the relationship, then it's, oh my God, it's a deal breaker. You're not a real man, and all those things. Because in your mind, in your own perception, a real man is a man that pays all bills. And you just sit and relax and keep your money to yourself. I even say, oh, your money is my money. My money is my money kind of thing. We kind of bias, we women after all, right? Not to say that I believe in what I'm saying. I'm just giving an example about expectations. Now, today we're talking about emotions. What is it to be emotional? It's human. And we're talking about the importance of the human emotions. Hi, Vic. Is it Vical? Am I pronouncing it right? I hope you're doing well. How are you, my sweetie pie? Welcome to my life. I'm Sissy, life coach and motivational speaker. If you are interested in spirituality, self-awareness, self-development, and a human condition, go ahead and subscribe or consider joining my community. Right? Subscribe to my channel. I would love to have you here to join my community. It's growing, it's small. I'm based in South Africa. It's an African content, and sometimes we're not so much on the radar when it comes to the organic rhythm. Okay, we're not really connected. All right, so but today I'm hoping that you can join my community. Okay, thank you, sweetie pie, for joining in. Today we're talking about emotions. What are emotions? Emotions are triggers, very important, right? Emotions, the brain's and body's rapid response system. How do we respond? How will we know what's going on in life if we don't have emotions? How will you know when you are happy or sad? Right? For example, emotions, how you express your experience in life. Something bad happens, an accident. Oh my God, I'm in shock. I'm scared. I'm fearful. Right? Instead of you seeing something and there's no emotion, no emotion. The wonderful experience of being humans that we have emotions. But why do we suppress them? Why do we think that emotions are evil somehow? You're too emotional. You need to calm down and not be so emotional. Okay. Now, there's two sides of the story, right? When you're emotional, but you're aware of your emotions, you're not you're not overreacting to your emotions. You're not triggered by your emotions. You are not, you are responding and you're not just reacting. You see, emotions are good. There's nothing bad about emotions. Emotions tell us or express how we feel about certain situations. It tells the world how we feel about winning the lotto, for example, or passing your bar exam as a lawyer. You get excited. You lose a partner, divorce or divorce, even death, you feel sad. You're telling the world that I am now sad because certain thing happened to me in my life. Okay, this is what I'm experiencing. That's why emotions are feedback. They're nothing to be suppressed. Very important part of being human is being emotional, but be emotionally mature, being able to respond in a matured way and not react to your emotions. Okay. Now, as I said, What are emotions? I said the emotions are your body's rapid response system. They evolve to help humans survive by preparing us to respond to opportunities and threats. That's why we have emotions. And emotion is coordinated through involving the brain, yes, interpretation of any situation, the physical changes in your body, your thoughts, your facial expressions as well, and your urges to act. Because when you have an emotion, it also triggers an action somehow, right? Let's continue. Fear. We have fear and joy and other emotions. We talk about fear. The brain detects danger. The heart rate increases. The muscles tense. Everything is retracting. The attention narrows because now you're getting ready to respond. You're either going to run, fight, or freeze. You understand? The nervous system kicks in at that time. That's fear. And then what about joy? Joy is the opposite. There's a dopamine release and other reward systems activate as well, because it's not only dopamine that's is a pleasure hormone. Your body relaxes, you smile. You see, you become more social and creative. You're more open and inviting. Emotions are not good or bad, they're just information. What activates emotions? Emotions activated by external and internal experiences. Like, for example, external will be someone criticizes you, somebody says you're a failure, or you get a F in your exam. Obviously, you'll be sad and frustrated and angry, maybe. You try so hard. How dare this teacher give me a F? You get what I'm trying to say? That's the emotional response. You receive good news, you get an A in your exam. Wow, happy, joyful, you want to celebrate, you want to dance, good news. Or a loud noise, how do you respond when it's an unexpected loud noise? You're in shock. And sometimes again trigger a fear response depending on your connection with that certain sound. Like, some children that were abused as children, as adults, they remember being beaten by their parents and the sound of the belt. They remember the sound of the belt and how their parents spoke down to them. So whenever they hear those sounds, it triggers a physical, visceral feeling in the body because you're remembering, okay, the trigger, that violent memory of you being abused. It affects your physical body. That's the reason why you need to heal from that experience by facing it. Speak to your parent and say, you know what? I know that you're acted within your own understanding and consciousness at that time, but what you did and how you reacted to me being not behaving well, beating me, really traumatized me. It really traumatized me. And some parents will be okay and open and say, you know what, you're right. We should have handled your behavior better than what we did, and we apologize. We should have probably maybe spoken to you, or maybe physically not punished you, maybe put you somewhere in a corner somewhere, or done something different, a different approach. But not all parents are open to that, because remember, in emotional level, they think they did the best they can. But sometimes, somehow, they could be feeling also guilty of even doing that action to you, or else they're feeling somehow, what else we're supposed to do? You are parents, you are a naughty child, you needed discipline. Violence has been connected to discipline in our reality for a very long time. With the patriotic system, violence is equal to discipline. I'm only disciplining my child. You don't know that you are causing psychological damage to your child in the name of I'm disciplining the child. Again, it's linked to emotion, because that memory of the punishments of being beaten like that will affect you all your life, in every sphere of your life. It makes you more fearful. It makes you less able to talk. Some children caught hiding or got hiding because they were talking. Don't talk so much. Don't say those things. Bang, 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 beating a child. So the child keeps close down the throat chakra because it's not safe to talk. And now you're wondering why my child is an introvert and they can't even talk for themselves. You're wondering why my child cannot express himself, because you beat the child close. You close the child's throat chakra with your abuse. Remember, there's two types of abuse: physical abuse and also verbal abuse, because you telling a child that you're useless, that you're nothing, that you're a naughty child, you'll never amount to anything. That is also abuse as well. So they can also close a person's throat chakra and then close the solar plexus, sense of self, and then mess up with the base chakra. Now, I spoke about the chakras being the important part of being a human and connecting to our emotions and our organs as well. Our heart chakra is connected to the heart. The physical heart, what governs the physical heart is the heart chakra. Right, in the lower organs, like for example, your solar plexus, right? Then below, which is sacral, solar plexus is digestion, and all these organs that link to digestion, right? And then your sacral, what you call center, is linked to all your sexual organs, including your womb, your bladder, and stuff like that, right? Including your that those organs there, by the just below the, where is it now? The kidneys, yes, the kidneys. That's the urinary tract system. The kidneys, right? All these organs are governed by certain what you call chakras as well, as I'm talking about. So when the chakras are healthy, your organs operate properly. If you are continuously beating a child and they see you, they scared. When they see you coming into the room, they want to run to the toilet. They feel so afraid because their kidneys have been affected, meaning their creative energy, sacral chakra has been affected negatively. You understand? So when a child is fearful, she cannot be creative. She's not free. You need freedom to be able to be creative. You need freedom to be able to speak your truth. If you don't feel that freedom, you're not receiving that freedom, then you can't speak your truth and you can't be creative. Now, creativity is linked to your throat chakra and your sacral chakra. All right. So when those two areas or chakras are being affected negatively, then your creativity is also affected. Now you're wondering why my child is an introvert, a loner, sitting alone by themselves, don't talk to other people. Remember, there's a healthy introvert and there's an unhealthy introvert. You get a healthy introvert, somebody who likes to be alone, reading, but they socialize very well. They have no problems expressing themselves in society, but they prefer most of the time to be alone. Then you have those that are keep to themselves, introvert, but they can't speak in public. They're afraid of people. They're afraid to express themselves. So you need to be able, as a parent and a person, to try and understand these things, right? Why is my friend a certain way? She's a lovely person, but she doesn't trust herself. She doesn't trust people. So she ought to keep away. That is unhealthy. If you're living in a world where you don't trust people, you're going to have a very, very bad time here, because this world is about people. It's about associating with different people. You walk into the classroom, there's teachers, there's students. You go play a sport, there's other people playing sports, your team members. You join a company, you're going to meet people. You're a businessman, you're going to need employees, you're going to meet people. So it's a people thing. And if you feel that you're not safe with people, then you're not going to have a good time here. Hi, sweetie pie. Thank you, Tsepo. How are you doing? I hope you're doing well. Welcome to my live. I'm Sissy, life coach, motivational speaker, and I'm hoping that you could consider subscribing to my channel. I'm based in South Africa, in Durban. I'm in Durban. That's where I am at this moment, streaming from Durban, in the Toti area, right? As I'm Toti, south part of Durban. Hope you're doing well, my lovey. Thank you, sweetie pie. Vikel, how are you? And thank you for joining my live. Check you next time. I hope you did subscribe to my channel. Yes, sweetie pie. Thank you. Okay, guys. So as I said, your emotions are very important parts of your life experience. Your emotions are everything, right? But remember, how to master your emotions is to feel them, understand them, don't deny them, don't suppress them, and then think of how to respond to your emotion. Don't be triggered. Don't be a triggered person, constantly triggered by your emotions, right? Don't be like that. When something happens in your life experience and it's feeling uncomfortable and you're feeling angry, better don't respond. Just don't respond. Just assess yourself, reevaluate yourself. You know, that kind of thing. Why am I feeling this way, the way I'm feeling? Okay, what should I do now? Should I respond and say something to this person, or should I just keep quiet and walk away? Very important to know that you have the choice to do that. You don't have to respond to anything. We as human beings think that we need to respond to everything that's happening in our world. Somebody says something bad to us or does something stupid on the road, and we need to respond and be angry, you wootering and then you swearing and all those things. You don't have to, but you choose to because you're not emotionally mature to handle your emotions. Not everything needs your response. You understand? Not everything needs your response. Sometimes just walk away and let it be because there are very sick people out there, people that are not emotionally secure, not emotionally well. They are operating from trauma. Trauma. You operate from trauma and the ego. So remember, the ego is a sense of self. The ego will keep you safe. It'll make you do things and see the world to keep you safe. You understand? That's what the ego does. It's there to keep you safe. And certain people just feel that they're only operating from the ego, the sense of I, what I want, what I believe is right, what belongs to me, I, all the time. Not understanding that your experience affecting everybody else. This is a collective experience and an individual experience. Okay, so when you're in your house, you're experiencing yourself, your own individual experience. You got family members, you also involved in their experience as well. On the road, you involve with everybody's experience till you're out of the road and you arrive where you want to go. You get into the office after having a hectic road experience and you're still carrying the same experience in your head. You're still angry and you can't calm down because you chose to be triggered. You chose to be triggered by somebody's stupidity on the road instead of you ignoring them or they're having a bad day. Ah, let, let me go my way. Don't be influenced by other people's experiences. Choose your own response to life. That's how it works. Choose your own response to life, right? So, an emotionally mature person is a person that can handle their emotions. They're not easily triggered and not toxic. In other words, so you understand, they're not toxic. They own their emotions. I am angry. How do I respond now? Maybe I'll just walk away, go for a jog, go for a walk, maybe talk to somebody about how I'm feeling, maybe go and boxing, but don't hurt people, that kind of thing. I'm just going to keep it safe and understand why am I feeling the way I'm feeling, or go write in the journal it down, how I feel. I'm angry. My wife made me angry. My children made me angry. This is what I'm feeling. Write it down instead of you going and getting sticks and beating people and swearing people, doing all sorts of things. Now, remember that when somebody's intoxicated with alcohol, they end up expressing all this anger because, again, you're still the same person. The alcohol is just going to make it's like money. It's like money. Alcohol is like money. It expands who you are. It really brings out the true you, right? Some people, when they have alcohol, they drink alcohol, they're intoxicated, they're quiet, they're happy, they want to play music, they want to dance. Others want to go and fight because your true you comes out, like how money, when you get a lot of money, your true you will be expressed. You will now be, oh, I'm a big guy now. I'm the boss now. I got so much money, I'm better than you. That kind of vibe, you understand? But if you're somebody who's opposite to that, okay, I have money now, it's okay, you know what I mean? I'm gonna help people, I'm gonna show them a good time, I'm gonna show them how much I appreciate them because that's who you are. So that's what alcohol does. Same thing as money does. What I've noticed, this is what I've actually noticed in the world. A person who's not who's not a good person, a horrible person, when they have money and they come into money all of a sudden, they become even more worst. Their true self will come out, right? But a person who is a good person, a loving person, they come into a lot of money, they just get even more better. They're able to help people now. They're more freer because your money will expand and show the true you truly are. Right. Again, back to emotions. So there's a lot of complication about emotions, okay? There's how the brain operates with emotions, right? That's very, like, for example, your oblongata, how your hippocampus and your frontal cortal, yeah, which only, they say it only develops when you, like, finally grows up to completion in your late 25 or something, 24, 25, right? When you're able to reason, it helps regulate emotional response and make thoughtful decisions. Okay. Now, if you are an emotional person and your frontal cortex is damaged and it did not grow properly, you will not be able to regulate your emotional responses. All right, now your Abler data detects emotional defects of sufficiency events, is specifically potential threats as well. So it's like a threat center, right? And then your hippocampus links your emotions and your memories. Now, in most cases, people respond emotionally because of memories, okay? Your subconscious mind. So the hippocampus is linked to the subconscious mind, as I could say, right? And let's continue. Now we are going to page 3, I think at page 4. Yeah, this page 2, page 3. So I got my numbers. Yeah, I got my notes, okay? Remember, I did a live before and then it didn't save. There was a technical issue on YouTube. I hope this time it does save. It goes well, okay? Let's continue. Yeah. So the hypothalamus is another, it activates automatic nervous system with your hormone releases. Now it's linked to your central nervous system. These systems communicate constantly, which affect your emotional responses. Are emotions stored in the body? Right now, in the spiritual environment, we say that your emotions are stored in your body, like in your heart, in your stomach, and it affects your bladder sometimes. As I said, if somebody is been traumatized all their life and they're afraid, when people are afraid about something, normally the bladder gets weak because the kidneys are affected and you run to the toilet all the time, and when you experience is a fearful experience. So that's a normal human thing, right? So if you abuse a child or continually hit a child, you find that the child's not having wetting their pants because the child's afraid of their parents. They're afraid of life because you've been beating them so much. Remember, the first 7 years of a child's life is so important. The first 7 years of a child's life is so important. And in those 7 years, the parents and the world, the environment that they're living in is teaching them about life. So if you want to bring up a psychopath, right, you've got to damage that person from zero, from birth to 7 years, damage them psychologically, and that person will become a psychotic, a psychopath, a narcissist. Okay. And if you want to bring up somebody who's loving and kind, somebody that can change the world, you got to show a lot of love. You got to bring them close and open their heart chakras. But if you want to destroy that person and make them a psychopathic, you will traumatize them in the most violent way possible. You understand? This is what they use in these occultic groups and stuff like that, right? So you get to understand that your emotions are so important. Okay, the more if you make a child continuously cry and suffer every single day, that child's heart chakra will close. That child's base chakra will be unbalanced. That child's sacral will be unbalanced. That child will just be a broken person. Now, we don't want broken people, right? We want people that are whole and healed. So we need to treat our children with love. Don't use corporal punishment on your children because it damages children. It damages people. And remember, there's different degrees of corporal punishment. But any punishment, you shouldn't be punishing your child. You should be loving your child. Even if the child does wrong, it's a child that's learning. You need to teach your child that like the world is safe and they're safe in your space. You need to bring them closer. Say what you did was not good. What you did caused ABC. It doesn't mean you need to bash them and scream at them. No, bring them closer and say, you know what? I love you, my baby, but I want you to know what you did is not good. And what you did is cause A, B, C, and D. Not to bash them and punish them verbally, violently. And remember, there's verbal violence because you can kill somebody with your words. You can break somebody with your words, right? And there's physical violence as well. So all is linked to emotions. Physical violence. So people just think that, oh, violence, oh, what, you never hit me. You only said this, you said that. But what you said was painful, it broke me down, right? So you need to understand that as well. Let's continue. Because I'm going to make it very short so I can go off, right? I'm scheduled to do a live on my TikTok. So if you have not as yet subscribed to my channel, go ahead and do so. Okay, sweetie pies? Join my community. So today we're talking about these emotions, okay? So the emotions do get stuck in your body, in your energy centers. It affects your bladder, right? And your kidneys, right? We get afraid of life. Your kidneys get weaker. It affects your bladder system as well, right? So, like for example, how emotional experiences can become associated with body sensations. Like if you stressed, you'll get tight shoulders, right? Your shoulders get tense and painful. Your muscles get painful. And in your stomach, sometimes you get discomfort before public speaking because you're feeling uncomfortable, you're feeling nervous, feeling anxious, feeling fearful. Right, and affects your stomach as well. And then also racing heart during anxiety attacks. Okay, when something happens, an event, when a stimuli makes you anxious and then affects your body, and you feel and you get restricted, you get fearful. Right, so all that's emotions. Through repeated experiences, the brain learns to associate certain situations with bodily responses. Traumatic experiences can lead the nervous system to become highly sensitive. So the body reacts strongly to reminders even years later. We all know it's a proven fact. You can abuse a child now, and even in their 50s, they're still remembering the pain and the trauma every time they look at that stick. Maybe it was something that their parents used to punish them, and they see it, and all the memories come back because we keep all events and emotions within us, right? On a conscious, unconscious level and a conscious level as well, because we are emotional beings. This is sometimes described as body keeps the score, as I said. The body keeps the score, referring to how trauma can influence your body responses. The idea has influenced trauma therapy as well through research. Researchers continue to study exactly how it works and how it affects the body and how we can actually heal from the traumas from the past. Why do emotions feel so physical? Because emotions involve the nervous system. The nervous system is one of the important parts of being human, right? Very important systems, your nervous system. Now we have a lot of social media content on how to regulate your nervous system because people have been traumatized, have been in violent situation, affects their nervous system, and you start operating from that system that's dysregulated, it's not stable because of your trauma. You start responding to life according to the trauma that you experienced 10, 20 years ago because your nervous system's been affected by the trauma. That's why it's important for people to understand that every single human being in this world needs to do some self-development to be more self-aware, to understand their psychology, understand what triggers them, the fears and everything. That's why I have this channel, because we should be focusing on ourselves, on healing ourselves and becoming better. Why am I not attracting the right man in my life? Oh, my childhood experience, my father was an abusive person. He's the first experience of what a man is. So I think that a good man is like my father. You understand? Because it affects my nervous system. And my nervous system I've been through this trauma so much, it's been like normal. It's normal. That's why some people say, oh, that guy is too calm. He's so loving. He's so boring. But he's loving and he's calm, but he's boring because she's used of a violent man who shows his love through violence. He's always screaming and shouting. He's always cheating. And because you saw that with your parents, your father doing it, so you think that's normal because your nervous system has been regulated to the drama, to the trauma of fighting. Get up every morning, you're waking up and your father and your mother fighting. They're fighting over money or he's cheating, and you think that's normal because you experienced that right through your life. And when you're older, you're expecting all men to be like that. That's a good man, but a man that's calm and he's not toxic, he's always boring. Like, for example, right, my husband doesn't drink or smoke. When I told a couple of my friends years ago when I first met my husband, oh, he's so boring. I don't want a man that doesn't drink. How can you trust a man that doesn't drink? That's weird. I could never really understand because our nervous system is linked to that inner consciousness. A man drinks alcohol, it's normal. It's normal for a man to be an alcoholic, to drink alcohol because that's what she's experienced. That's in her nervous system. It's what she thinks is a good person, a good man, is one that's drinking alcohol, because our uncles drink, our brothers drink, our father drink, our grandfather drink, everybody's drinking alcohol. So it's normal. It's been normalized. Like anything else, even everything else, man. If you think about it in life, everything else that's happening here, once you experience this thing time and time again in your life, you think it's normal. You think it's normal for a man to beat his wife, because you've seen it in your family, you've seen it in your society, and you think, oh, it's normal for a man to beat a woman. Because your nervous system's really accepted it to hear 5 o'clock in the morning, somebody screaming and running around, running out of the house, a man is chasing and swearing her. Your use of that chaos, and you think it's normal. When you meet a man that's not like that, he's boring, because we get so used to nonsense, to rubbish, to instability and toxic behavior. We think it's normal, and yet it's not normal, or it's just an experience that we had. You understand? So this is what my family and people around me got to understand, that a man can be a good man if he doesn't drink alcohol, he doesn't smoke, he doesn't cheat. And yes, there are men that don't cheat. Not every single man cheats. And not every single woman cheats either, because both these beings can cheat if they want to. But not every single woman or man is a cheater. But then we get some people who only date cheaters because they saw their father or their mother cheating, they saw people around them cheating, or a relationship, or a man will always cheat. And that's not the case. Again, as I said, it's about what your nervous system is used of, what your consciousness is used of, what your mind is normalized. Like being povertized. All year in his family, in his bloodline, his lineage, nobody owned cars. Oh, that's normal. Nobody went to university, that's normal. But when somebody does something different, you think you're better than us, you're going to university, you're buying a car, you're doing all these things, you think you're better than us. You're buying and selling houses, you think you're better than us, because they are being normalized. They think that life can only be like this. When you go outside the so-called normal way of life, then you think you're better than them, because they're normalized. That's normal to them. Your normal is more expensive. You want to experience more. You don't want to be stuck in what your parents experience. You want more. You want more than what society can offer you. And they say, oh no, you are stuck up. You think you're better than the others. Again, your nervous system is connected to that, because your central nervous system gets wired by your experiences, because your experiences equate emotions as well, right? So as I get ready to close, let me continue here, right? Let's continue. Why do emotions feel so physical? I mentioned because of nervous system. Stress hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline, right? That hormone is so important. I went to school with a guy who had a problem with his adrenaline glands, right? And he had like a problem, even with his sweat. He'd always be sweating for no reason and stuff like that, right? It's very important to understand that we as human beings, our bodies are sophisticated technology, right? So stress hormones such as cortisol and adrenaline change, and your breathing would also be affected when you're under stress. Okay, your heart rate will increase, your digestion will be affected, because now remember, you under stress, you under attack. There's no time for digestion. Your body wants to use its energy somewhere else. So you could be eating, you feel like you just finished eating, and there's a trigger comes in, and you feel bilious, you want to bring up. Or sometimes you're supposed to be getting ready to eat, but you don't want to eat, because it can last anything to an hour to half an hour to an hour after the stressful event, okay? Because your hormones need to be balanced, you go back to become regulated. And your muscle tension as well, your muscle will then tense up. And then your immune function also stops functioning properly, because you are in flight and fight, or even freeze. It's fight, flight, or freeze mode. Are they gonna fight, or you're gonna freeze, or you're gonna fight, or you're gonna run? So you're gonna run, you're gonna fight, or you're gonna freeze. All right, which is quite interesting. What is the emotional body, right? I mentioned earlier on in the other live I did. The emotional body is mentioned a lot in the metaphysics, in the spiritual plane or concepts, okay? There are two ways to understand this. The scientific perception, which I say there's no such thing. But in the spiritual way, we say that many spiritual traditions describe emotional body as a layer of human experiences alongside the physical, mental, and spiritual aspects, okay? In these traditions, unresolved emotions are thought to influence one's overall well-being. Unresolved emotions, again, unresolved emotions are always going to affect your life even after the event. That's why we need to understand what triggers us and why we get triggered because of unresolved emotions. The framework is meaningful for many people, but it's not something science has established as a physical truth or entity. Remember that they don't say it's a physical entity like your body, this body as a physical entity. Your emotional body is around your body. It's one of the what they call it, your ethereal body, right? So science is all about saying this is a solid thing. I can measure it. I can prove it exists. All right, like how they can measure you as a person, they can prove you exist. This chain that I'm wearing, they can measure and prove it can exist. But the emotional body, the scientists cannot prove. But then again, on a spiritual level, spirituality is much more advanced than science because not everything can be measured and tested and proved to exist in its reality. And just because we cannot measure it or prove that it does exist, doesn't mean it doesn't exist, right? Like, for example, in spirituality, we have spirits, we have ghosts, we've got demons. We've never seen them, right? We can't prove they exist, so does it mean they don't exist? No, they do exist. Only thing in science, they haven't had a chance or opportunity or means to take it and measure it. Because everything is energy, right? Now, the ghosts and spirits have not manifested into the physical thing, physical body form, so we can measure it and stuff like that. Same as emotions, okay? You can't measure emotions, can you? Okay, I know there's that scale of high or low level emotions that they have, but I'm talking about scientifically because there's certain thing that science will actually debunk and say it's not true, that spirituality says it's true, because spirituality is about the unseen, the subtle stuff, while science is about the physical things, the seen things. Right now, emotional energy is the next one I want to talk about, right? Emotions or energy, because everything's an energy. All things on this earth is energy because everything's vibrating, so it's energy. That's been proven in quantum physics already, right? So the best thing to understand with your emotional self is to understand what triggers you and understand you don't have to respond to everything that's happening. There's certain things that don't need a response. Don't be triggered all the time. Ask yourself, why have I been triggered? When you truly know thyself, you get to understand my weaknesses, my strengths, what triggers me, what excites me, what makes me angry. How do I respond to these things? You don't just react because you're supposed to be a matured being with intelligence. You understand? With intelligence. So you're not supposed to have emotional intelligence. On my channel, it's about spirituality, self-awareness, self-development, understanding the human condition of who you are. Why do I respond to it in a certain way? How can I make my life better? How can I improve my relationships with other people and even with money? Because we're having a relationship with everything, including the money. How can I improve my relationship with money? Because money I needed in my life. But if I feel that money is scarce, it will be scarce. Because everything is being created by here, right? And it's a proven fact now. We all know that, right? In your mind, in your consciousness. What you believe to be true shall be true. No one can create your reality besides you. You're never the victim of this reality because you are the creator, the master of your own experience. And then you choose to be a victim, to step back and make something else or somebody else drive your life. And that's such a pathetic way to live because you're given autonomy to live your life the way you want to live. Be the master of your life, understand yourself. And when you are being a master of your life, you're not forcing other people, you're not influencing other people, you mastering yourself. You get up every morning. I have a goal. I'm gonna be disciplined. You mastering yourself. I'm gonna do this thing I need to do that I said I'm gonna do so I can get this thing that I want. You're being more disciplined, right? I need to eat a certain type of food. I need to be able to control my emotions, what I do, where I put my energy, what I'm reading, pornography. Like things a lot of people in drugs, people have a problem with pornography and drugs. What is leading you to that thing? Why do you need to look at that nonsense? Okay, what within you, maybe in your past life experience or in this lifetime now, childhood experience, were you abused? What is this whole idea fixation with pornography? Same with drugs or anything else. Yeah, we are here to master ourselves. Okay. A lot of people talk about how drugs can be a portal for an experience that you need to experience, right? That are hoping drugs and being connected to drugs and being a drug addict. That's your experience that you want to experience. If you've experienced already, right? There's no victims here. Maybe drugs, alcohol, or whatever it is, the most painful thing. It's so difficult for a person to take responsibility of their own experiences. I was abused. Is that my fault? Okay, firstly, that's not your fault. However, it's an experience that your soul had written down. It's not an accident. Okay, now we separate ourselves from the soul or the higher self. It was not an accident, it was there for a reason. The question is, how are you going to respond to this experience? Are you going to become a abuser yourself? Are you going to become a bitter person? Or are you going to heal from the experience and move on with your life? That's the choice you have. Because it's not your choice, but it was your higher self, the owner of this game piece called you, your higher self, that chose for you to be in this life experience. So these are very like dynamic perceptions, you understand? Everything happens for a reason. We're never victims on a physical or spiritual way. Victims. I made a choice to date that guy. I find out he's an abuser. He abuses me, he hurts me. I made the decision to take my body and myself and be in a relationship with him. You're not a victim. You played a part in the experience. You're never a victim. And we can look at it in all ways, right? And remember that all these things are triggering different emotions. So don't allow your emotions to override and control you. You understand your emotions and why you are triggered in a certain way. Learn how to respond instead of just reacting. That's how I'll close my life today. Learn how to respond instead of reacting to what's happening in your life. Just respond. Take a few seconds. It doesn't even take long, a few seconds before. If somebody walks into the room and say, hey, you, get out. You don't belong here. And the person's talking nonsense to you. And then you respond with anger. Or keep quiet, look at that person and wonder. Just don't respond. Just let the dust settle. And then, okay, why do you say that? You see? What makes you say that? Now you're in a calmer state of mind, you're not being reactive to his nonsense. He's pouring negative energy towards you. You have the choice to respond with positive energy, not with negative energy. That's the gift of being able to handle and manage your emotions and have emotional maturity. Okay, that person will probably be shocked because that person was trying to trigger anger out of you. You understand? So you need to be able to master your emotions. When you master your emotions and your mind, you master this life experience, basically. Right, guys. So as I said before I close, I'm going off now. Go ahead and follow me on YouTube by subscribing to my channel. If you are new here, for those that are not new, thank you for coming through and connecting again. And I hope that my live was insightful as well. Okay. So have a great Saturday further and be kind to yourself and others as well. Right, guys. Bye. Let's see.